Good morning. It's Monday, March 30th, and I'm here with our sociology notes for today. Start off with the question of the day. Today's question is: what is the change call that family members make in social class from one generation to the next? Okay, so you'll find that in the Teams app. Um, just like last week, go ahead and answer the question. When you answer it, you turn it in, it comes back to me, and each day I'll check your answers and I'll give you 1 point each day, 2 points each day for answering the questions. Okay. Before we get started with the lecture notes, I want to tell you that when we first started this process, we were supposed to be going back to school tomorrow, but right now we won't go back any sooner than April 8th. And with the president's speech last night and extending the time till the end of April, it's starting to look like we probably won't go to school the whole month of April. So these notes, the lecture notes that I send out, the questions of the day and stuff, become pretty important because it's our only way to continue to finish this semester through April at least. So I will be here every day. I will set up a video for this class every day for you to watch. I'll put a link in the description and stuff in Teams. I would say that if you go ahead and subscribe and click notifications, you'll always have the option of watching it live. I'll always try to be close to our class time with this one, maybe a little early. I'll try never to be late. If you want to watch it live, you can, or you can watch it anytime. Um, you'll always get this sent back saying that you watched it, because if people watch it through YouTube and don't go through Teams, then I don't know that you watched it or not without checking and seeing who all have subscribed and stuff. So we'll do this. When I finish this chapter, I'll send out the study guides, and you can do the study guides through the Teams app. And then once you do the study guide and answer it and send it back, then I'll look and I'll give you points for doing the study guide. Because if you fill it out and send it back to the Teams app within 3 days, I'll set it up for a 3 day deal. And then you can go ahead and get points that way also. Okay. As for everything that was done last week, I've gone ahead and just given everybody points because it was set up for last week that we definitely could not harm your grade. And so I wasn't going to give anybody a 0 for stuff. If you have classmates, check around and see and make sure they're getting to YouTube and getting the Teams app and stuff. If they have a problem getting in there or doing something, have them email my school email or call me at 217-639-5099. Leave a message, and then I'll get with the tech people and see if we can figure out what we need to do to get you set up. If you don't have the equipment to use, phone, tablet, iPad, computer, whatever, let me know. I can't guarantee anything, but we'll see what we can do. Okay. So we were getting ready to talk about family life and how that relates to social class. So I want to go ahead and get started with this. Go a little ways today. I will never go a full 40 some minutes. We're requested to try to do, 20 to 30 minutes. We understand that you have other classes and other teachers are going to try to get stuff for you to do. We also understand that some of you who have jobs, your work is requiring you to come in and work more hours now because you're available. And I completely understand that. So I'll try to keep this as short and still get the point across. It is kind of strange doing this without being able to ask you questions and maybe have you give responses to me. So if you have any questions or have any comments, feel free to email them or tag them onto your question of the day, because I do read those. And then I'll see if I can answer your questions through that question of the day when I return it to you. Okay. So we'll get started up. Social class plays a significant difference in family life, in the choice of a spouse, the chance of getting divorced, and how children are raised. All those things play in a social class. The calculus class place a strong emphasis on family tradition. They may even stress the family history, even a sense of purpose or destiny in life. Children in this class learn that their choice of spouse not only affects them, but also affects the entire family. Um, in most cases, the exception, this explanation in the field as eligible of marriage partners. Now, what it does is it shrinks the eligibility of marriage partners because you got to stay in your class. If you're in the capitalist class, you don't want to marry someone from the worker class. That doesn't always work with families. Now, not to say that that doesn't happen, okay? It does happen, and a lot of times people who marry for love, and that's a strange concept, marrying for love. Why would anybody want to do that, you know? But if people marry for love, it doesn't really matter what class they are. Age doesn't always matter. Race, ethnicity doesn't matter when you're marrying for love. So just kind of want to throw that out there. I'm sure you all knew that, but hey, you know, it's something to throw out. But it can shrink the field of eligible marriage partners, okay? Parents in this class play a strong role in mate selection. Now, I think we're past the day and time when arranged marriages are set up. But there was a time in the world's history where there were arranged marriages. Sometimes it was landowners who owned a lot of land, and if they had a son and their neighbor in the next property had a daughter, they would arrange that marriage, which would increase the family's holdings even more, so that when that son and daughter got married, they would inherit both properties and then have twice as much land as what they had before. Now that happened a lot. Sometimes wealth had to pay into it, which again is class. Okay, so there was arranged marriages set up in which people would marry, and they would increase their wealth, whether land or money or what possessions, whatever it is, they would increase their wealth. And they did those arranged marriages to keep the bloodlines pure too. That was another big thing too, bloodlines. So if you were a king and you had a son and he was supposed to marry, you looked at neighboring kingdoms to see if they had an eligible daughter that your son can marry. Or even the fact if you were a king and you had your upper class people in your realm, and if you could pick someone out for your son or your daughter to marry, that would keep that bloodline good. Okay, so all those things, part of those arranged marriages. Okay, divorce. There are many tensions that come from insecure jobs and inadequate incomes, and leads to higher marital friction and a greater chance of divorce in the lower social classes. Children of the poor are more likely to grow up in broken homes. Child rearing is where it heads next in the book. It talks about lower class parents focus more on getting their children to follow and obey authority, while middle class parents focus more on developing their children's creative and leadership skills. Sociologists have traced this difference to the parents' occupation. Lower class parents are more closely supervised at work and believe their children will have similar jobs. They try to teach their children to defer to authority. Middle class parents enjoy greater independence at work, and they encourage their children to be more creative. Out of these contrasting orientations comes different ways of disciplining children. Lower class parents are more likely to use physical punishment, while middle class parents rely on more verbal persuasions. Working class and middle class parents also have different ideas about how children develop. Working class parents think that children develop naturally. They sort of unfold from within. If parents provide comfort, food, shelter, and other basic support, the child development will take care of itself. Middle class parents, though, think that children need a lot of guidance to develop correctly. Among the consequences of these orientations, the middle class parents read to the children more, make more effort to prepare them for school, and encourage play and extracurricular activities. They think They think well-developed children, and they work on their mental and social skills. They do all these things to help their children develop better. But we know from studies that parents who read to their children when they're very young, those children develop a desire to read in most cases, and maybe even learn to read easier on their own afterwards, and they develop better in school. So the middle class has kind of something there when they're trying to work and develop their children. Okay, education plays a role in social class. Education increases one going up the social class ladder. It is not just the amount of education that changes, but also the type of education. Children of the capital class don't attend public schools. They attend exclusive private schools where they are trained to take a commanding role in society. Prep schools teach underclass values and prepare their students for prestigious universities. Aware that private schools can be the key to upward mobility, some upper middle class parents do their best to get their children into prestigious schools that feed into the exclusive prep schools. Even though some prep schools cost $23,000 a year, they have a waiting list, and parents even go solicit letters of recommendation from their second and 2 and 3 year olds. So they go out and get letters for their kids to start the process to get in these schools. Can you imagine paying $23,000 a year to go to high school? I mean, that's what some people do. And there's success there, but I'll tell you that they have the same kind of problems in their schools that they have in a lot of other schools. Jealousy, bullying, things like that still happen in those schools. Okay. But it looks better when they graduate from those schools and they want to attend those higher level colleges, the Yales, the Harvards, the Princetons, all those places. It always looks better if you have that private school learning in your background. Okay. This parental involvement and resources are a major reason why children from the more privileged classes are more likely to go to college and graduate. The next thing is religion. One part of social life that we might think would not be affected by social class is religion. Classes tend to cluster in different denominations. Episcopalians, for example, are more likely to attend middle class and attract middle class and upper classes, while Baptists draw heavily on lower classes. Patterns of worship also follow classes. The lower classes are attracted to more expressive worship services and the louder music, while the middle and upper classes prefer more subdued worship. I don't know. I mean, I've only attended a couple different denominations through my life, and they've all been basically about the same. So I don't know. I don't know. I've never been to what would be considered an upper class church. So I don't know how that really works. Politics is the next thing that comes up. The rich and the poor walk different political paths. The higher the people are on the social class ladder, the more likely they are to vote for Republicans. That was a 2008 study. Most members of the working class believe that the government should intervene in the economy to provide jobs and make citizens financially secure. They are more likely to vote for the Democrats. Although the working class is more liberal in economic issues, it is more conservative on social issues. People toward the bottom of the class structure are also less likely to be politically active, to campaign for candidates, or even to vote. Now, I'm not sure if that's still true today. I'm not sure if social class is so much part of whether you're Democratic or Republican, or if it's set up to where you think of where you fit and what you believe. Are you conservative or are you liberal? Do you believe in the Republicans' platform or the Democratic platform? And I think it crosses social classes anymore. I think there's a wide variety of classes that follow this anymore. That's just my 2 cents worth. Okay. I don't know if it's true. I don't have any studies to prove or disprove what I think, but that's just kind of where it seems to be today. Crime and criminal justice falls into social class. It is said that justice is supposed to be blind, but it is certainly not when it comes to one's chances to be arrested. We have discussed how social class commit different types of crimes. Remember when we talked about that a couple chapters ago? While white-collar crimes of the more privileged classes are more likely to be dealt with outside the criminal justice system, while the police and courts deal with the street crimes of the lower classes. One consequence of this class standard is that members of the lower classes are more likely to be in prison, on probation, or parole, and those who commit street crimes tend to do so on or near their own neighborhoods. The lower classes are more likely to be robbed, burglarized, and murdered. Okay, so that brings us up to the change in economy, and I think I'm going to kind of stop right there. Like I said, I'm going to try to keep this split up a little bit. I'm not going to overload you too much every day. It's going to be pretty basic. We're going to have 15, 20 minutes worth of lecture. and then I'm going to turn around and get it submitted on the Teams app, and then have you set up for the weekly daily question, and that's how we'll continue. If you have any questions, please email me or call my school number. And again, that's 217-639-5099. I check those messages a couple times a day, and I'm constantly checking my email. It even pops up on my phone when I get emails in. So feel free to email me if you have any questions. If you need to make up a test, or there's some work that you miss and you need to make up, it's up to you to email me. Since we don't have tutorial, I'm going to use email as my tutorial. And if you email me after you check Skyward on what you're missing and see what you can make up, I will work with you through email and send something to help you get caught up. Okay. Hope you guys are all staying safe. Hey, this really kind of stinks. I would much rather be in class right now and at least seeing you, maybe asking you questions and getting through stuff. But this is the hand we're dealt, and we have to make the best of it. I hope that you stay safe. Follow the guidelines. The only way to defeat this crazy thing is to follow the guidelines. Even though you might not get as sick or you might not get sick, if you are a carrier and you're asymptomatic, then you possibly could be giving it to other people. So do your best to stay socially distant. Try not to gather together, and let's get through this, and hopefully we're back in school someday soon, at least by May 1st. Have a great day, and I'll be back here tomorrow.